The choking sound of the cappuccino maker snapped Henry out of his daydream. He had gotten his favorite seat at the coffee shop window and drifted away in thought as Chicago folk passed by going about their business. It was a special day for Henry. Without anyone noticing, he checked his appearance in his reflection in the window. For today's special occasion, he'd bought a new shirt, just a simple gray polo, and wore his favorite khakis that fit perfectly. Although he didn't need them, he wore his hiking boots, as they made him just a pinch taller than his usual 5'11". His coffee was lukewarm at best, but still, he took a sip as he watched out the window. When he looked at his watch, his heart skipped. Any minute now, he was going to see her. Without thinking, he smoothed his black hair back. The coffee shop was getting more and more crowded. The baristas shouted back and forth, trying to be witty. They really just came across as annoying. People chatted loudly on their cell phones to make sure everyone knew their business, no matter how intimate. Co-workers flocked in together and laughed about the new temp in accounting or how working from home was a total possibility, even in retail. Henry shook his head. Had he not been in such a good mood today, he might have made a scene. He imagined himself in the center of the coffee shop, taking one long, deep breath and shouting at the top of his lungs for everyone to "Shut the fuck up!" The thought made him chuckle. Finally, there she was. Suddenly, all of Henry's lines, all the words he wanted to say, all the scenarios he'd rehearsed, flew out of his head like pigeons scattering off the sidewalk. Still, he wasn't going to let that stop him. How many times had she walked past, and all he did was watch? "You've got this, Henry. She's been waiting for you," he muttered as he stood. In an almost panic, he pushed his way roughly through the crowd and caught one last look at himself in the mirror by the door. He was looking good and felt invincible. If this was what the mere sight of her did for him, he could only imagine what he'd feel like when they were together. "Of course you're going to have to dodge the guy with her." The voice. Henry knew it wasn't going to be quiet. Henry knew all about her friend. They walked together every day. They worked together, for Pete's sake. That fellow was no threat at all. He was at least a couple of inches shorter than Henry, and although they had a similar build, Henry wasn't scared. Anyone could have a fit physique, but not everyone had as much fire in their belly as Henry. That had given and would always give Henry the edge. With his confidence renewed, Henry took off in pursuit. There were half a dozen people between himself and her. She looked so lovely. Today she was wearing those tight black slacks for work. Wasn't it funny that in his dreams, when they finally talked, she was always wearing those? They weren't the slutty spandex pants that so many women wore. These were classy. She had on a gray sweater, a few shades lighter than his shirt. He took that as a sign. Today was the day. Carefully, Henry stretched his legs to gain on her and her companion. He didn't want to suddenly appear behind her like some kind of weirdo. He wanted to slowly ease up to her, like a luxury yacht inching into the dock. It was luck and divine intervention that brought them together at a red light. Henry's heart was pounding. In his mind, he knew that once she saw him, she'd feel the same thing for him that he felt for her.